Webflow just released an essential new feature that allows us to have component props inside of code embeds. Let's look at some of the top ways we can use this. So previously, if we wanted to use a custom icon, we would have to create a component even if that icon is only used one time. But now we can add an embed to the page and we can turn that embed into a component. I'm going to call this one icon and we'll create. And now we can connect the content of that embed to a component prop like so. I'll call this icon SVG. And now if I close that out, I can actually open this up, and in Figma, I'll just right click and copy this icon as an SVG, and I'll just paste it in and hit save. And now we can actually see that icon on the page. Previously, we could have code embeds inside of rich text, but we'd always get this banner instead of actually seeing the actual content until we preview or publish on the site. But now this makes it a lot more feasible to actually use that icon in here. Now, something we would need to do is change like the width of the SVG to 100%, change its height to auto, change its fill over here to current color on any sort of shapes in here. And this might be a lot to expect the client to do if we're allowing them to add icons themselves. So instead, what we'd want to do is we can add some CSS. Notice how there's even this little bit of extra space at the bottom. That's because SVGs are set to inline block by default, which creates that space. So here we can have a class of view icon that finds the SVG inside and sets it to display block to remove that bottom space, gives it a width of 100%, height of auto. I'm adding exclamation important just to override any inline styles that SVG might have. Then inside that SVG, we'll find anything that might have a fill sort of attribute, and we'll change that to current color. So now all I would have to do is just add that UIcon class onto my embed here, and then any icons the client might add into this component in the future will automatically be the right size. So I can create some variants. Maybe I have an icon that's 4 rem, and that's going to be this size. And then I might create an extra large icon. And then one thing I would definitely have is a full width icon that's 100% in case you want to control the size of the icon from a parent div. But that's how we can start to set up our icon component. Another thing this unlocks is binding attributes like this source here to component props when inside a code embed. So now, even though this is possible, in most cases, I would recommend using the custom element still instead. And one of the advantages to this is if we add something like a class here, this wouldn't get cleaned up when we run a class cleanup, and we can add styles directly through the style panel. Whereas here, this class could actually get cleaned up since it's not used on the page. And then also this requires less divs. We don't have an embed div wrapped around our iframe here, and we can just conditionally hide and show different tags inside the code directly instead of it being locked into a code embed. So in most cases, I do think it's still better to use custom elements and keep your HTML directly in Webflow. Now, where things get interesting is binding inside of style tags. We have variants where we can swap on component instances between some preset options, but sometimes we need to be able to pass in any value we want on an instance by instance basis. And that's what I'm really hoping this feature could do. Now, the example that Webflow gave is we'd create a component prop, for instance, called ID here. I'd set its default value to something like card1. Then I create another text prop, and this one's going to be called color. And I'll set its default value to something like blue. And then inside of this embed here, I would go ahead and replace the actual ID with that component prop, and I would replace the actual color with the color here. And then on the entire card, I would just give it that ID so that it's styling that card. And that means on the second instance, I can switch the value to green, but only if I remember to also give it a unique ID. Now, I don't think this is a very good experience, especially for clients. So what we could do instead is delete that ID altogether. And then if we open back up our embed, there's something new in CSS called @scope, and it's newly supported across all major browsers. Now, the support is a bit on the lower side, so I'd only use this as a progressive enhancement for things like maybe background color. So if we head back over here, what we can do is @scope, and this will select the parent element of the style tag. Now, unfortunately, in Webflow, the parent element of that style tag is the div, which is our code embed. It's not the entire card. And sadly, there's no way to go up to just the grandparent in this case. So the style that we are applying is on that code embed itself. Now, I could switch that code embed to something like position absolute to cover the full card. And that way this div, this code embed, is acting like a background element. This wouldn't allow us to set like font size on the entire card or anything like that. But for more background things like this, it's perfectly fine. And I could do something like this, and that works just fine there. Now, what we can do here is we can actually have some of our HTML inside of this div. For instance, I might have an H1 or an H2, and this is my heading, and maybe I want to set a unique font size or a max width. I can connect that heading text up to a prop, and then within this scope, I can find a child H1, H2, or whatever it is, and start to connect things like font size, max width to a number prop, different things like that within the scope if we want. But that comes with its own limitations of having to actually put that HTML into an embed, but that is a possibility for these per instance sort of options. Now, in the past, when we wanted per instance settings on our JavaScript, we had to save those settings inside data attributes and then use them further down. This wasn't the cleanest solution, and it led to a lot of data attributes bloating our HTML in many cases, but it worked for the most part. So now we can bypass the data attributes altogether. I'll create a prop here. It's going to be a number prop, and I'll call it speed, and I'll set the default value to 500. Then if I open up my code embed here for my slider speed, I'll just connect it to that prop of speed. And now if I save and close, I can set the speed on this slider. Now, the speed that I'm setting here applies to every instance of the slider component, so we can't have a unique speed for each instance currently because we're inside of this each loop. So what we can do to fix this is we can do document.currentScript, and that just gives us the script tag that we're inside of. Now, if I do .parentElement, that'll give us the embed holding that script tag. If I do .parentElement one more time, that'll give us the entire component, as long as our embed is directly within that component. So then once we have that, we can start finding all of the different arrows and controls within that component. I'll just call this const component. Now, for this to actually work, this document.currentScript here has to be it can't be inside of a DOM content loaded here, or it won't be able to find the current script. So if we leave it outside like this, we'll run into issues where it says the component is already declared if we have multiple of these scripts throughout the page. So what we'll want to do instead is to run it inside this self-executing function, so that way it doesn't throw any errors saying we have the component defined multiple times. Now we still only want this code here to run after the DOM is fully loaded. So what I'll do is take this entire DOM content loaded here, and we're just going to move it here into the function like so, and I'll just prettyify like so. Okay, so now that we have that, we don't need to loop through the component anymore. We've already defined the component here. Instead of dealing with every component on the page, we're just dealing with this one instance. So I'm going to delete this little check and this little loop and this little closing down here. And so now what we have is we run a function right away that grabs the current script that we're in and goes up to the component. Then we wait till the DOM is fully loaded till we find all of the children just to make sure that they're there and ready until we run our slider script and everything like that. And now we're able to have a unique speed for each instance of the component throughout our page. So if I save and close, for instance, this first one will do 100, the second will do 900. And so if we preview, we'll notice that this one switches instantly, this other one switches much slower. Now it really becomes fun to start binding things to props. For instance, I can create a switch prop, and I'll just call this something like follow finger. That's if we want it to actually be draggable. I'll set the values to something like true and false. And what Webflow actually does is not create this as a string. So for instance, if I go into this embed, if I set this follow finger here, it's going to actually use it correctly. So I'll just go ahead and connect it here, and it'll either be true or false depending on if the switch is on or off. So if I save that, and then I set this first one to true, so it will be draggable. The second one to false, so it'll only be swipeable. And if we preview now, I can't hold and drag this. I can only swipe it to make it move. Whereas this one, I can actually click and drag because follow finger is true on that one. And we can continue this process binding up all our different slider settings to props without having to use data attributes. So that's an overview of Webflow's latest update. Let me know some creative ways that you plan to use these new features in the comments below.